Sunday evenings used to be my favorite. I would cook enchiladas, beans simmering slow, rice bright with tomatoes, tortillas warm from the skillet. Those smells used to fill my kitchen, my home, my heart. But that night was different. My daughter Coraline had taken over the cooking. I sat quietly at the table, grateful just to be near the food I once made with my own hands. When the plates came out, mine looked lighter than the rest. I ate slowly, then asked, almost in a whisper, if I could have a little more rice. Just a spoonful. Nothing more. Coraline's jaw tightened. She said nothing. Then she picked up her glass, and without warning, splashed the cold water straight into my face. The shock froze me in place. Water dripped down my cheeks, soaked through my blouse, and turned my food into a soggy mess. Silence. Her husband stared, fork frozen mid-air, and then laughter. My grandson held up his phone, recording. "Grandma's begging again," he chuckled. His sister joined in. Coraline smirked, like she had just won some secret battle. The burn inside me wasn't from the water. It was from their eyes. Eyes that saw me as a joke, not as a mother, not as a woman who had given everything. I thought of the nights I skipped meals so Coraline could eat seconds, the years I scrubbed cafeteria floors so she could have new shoes, the days I pressed tortillas while she played in the yard. Every sacrifice I had made, mocked in an instant. I did not scream. I did not beg. Slowly, I pushed back my chair. Water dripped onto the floor as I walked to my room. Behind the closed door, I looked in the mirror. A woman stared back at me, trembling hands, lines carved deep from years of labor, eyes clouded with disbelief. "This is the last time," I whispered. And something inside me shifted. My silence, once born of love, hardened into something colder. I peeled off the wet blouse, replaced it with an old cotton shirt, and touched the photograph by my lamp, Raphael, my late husband, smiling the way he used to. I heard his voice echoing from memory. "Never let them see you weak. Strength is the only inheritance we leave behind." That night I opened the old lockbox I hadn't touched in years. Inside were papers Raphael had prepared long ago. The deed to the house, savings accounts, certificates of deposit, even a hidden account in Texas, untouched for decades. All of it. Mine. Not Coraline's, not her husband's. Mine. She had strutted around, bragging that she paid for everything. But the truth sat right there in my hands. And worse, I found the bank records. Withdrawals too large for groceries or bills. She had been stealing from me, feeding her vanity with money Raphael and I had sweated for. The sorrow in me hardened into resolve. The next morning I began moving carefully. Each day I visited different banks, withdrew modest sums, small enough to go unnoticed. Back home I tucked the envelopes into an old sewing basket, hidden beneath spools of thread. By the end of the week, the basket was heavy. One afternoon, Coraline threw a barbecue. She raised her voice for everyone to hear, boasting, "I cover all Mom's expenses. Without me, she'd be on the streets." People nodded, admiring her false generosity. I smiled faintly, sipping my lemonade, my secret heavy in the sewing basket back inside the house. That evening, I made another decision. At a travel agency, I bought a one-way ticket. Destination: Lisbon. Raphael once dreamed of seeing the Atlantic from the other side. I would make that dream real, for him, for me. Before I left, I visited a lawyer. I had Coraline's name removed from every joint account, every right she thought she had. The house, the savings, the property. It all came back under my control. "She'll come after you," the lawyer warned. "She can chase dust," I said. On my last night in that house, I packed 2 dresses, my medicine, and Raphael's rosary. I left a sealed letter on the kitchen counter. The words were sharp and final. "You splashed water in my face to erase my dignity. I drained the life you thought was yours. Respect is not inherited, it is earned. Until you learn that, every glass you raise will taste empty. The house was never yours. It remains in my name. You live there as a guest. Nothing more. At dawn, I stepped out the door for the last time. By the time Coraline woke, I was already gone. She didn't notice at first, but when her card was declined at the grocery store, panic must have set in. By the time she rushed home, my room was bare. Only the sewing basket remained, light and hollow, the envelopes gone. And then came the lawyer with my letter in hand. I imagine her reading it, her husband shouting in the background, her children silent with wide eyes, her face draining of color. She thought she had broken me, but she had only freed me. Meanwhile, I sat on a bus headed east, my suitcase steady on my lap, my heart lighter than it had been in years. Lisbon greeted me with salt in the air, gulls above the rooftops, and the endless blue of the Atlantic. I stood by the water, whispering into the wind, "We made it, viejo. We made it across the ocean." I ate fresh bread, grilled fish, drank cool wine. For the first time in decades, I tasted freedom. Not revenge alone. Freedom. In my small flat by the market, neighbors welcomed me with coffee and laughter. No one saw me as a burden. They saw me as a woman, still alive, still full of stories. At night, I wrote in my journal, I was never just a mother. I was a woman with dreams. I wrote it again and again until the truth settled into me like breath. I did not lose a daughter. She lost a mother. And that difference meant everything.